Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be analyzing the state of Georgia in the 2022 midterms, where there is a competitive Senate race and a slightly less competitive gubernatorial race. Before I get into it, I'd like to say if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell and leave a like and comment. With that said, let's get into it. So the state of Georgia has many key races up this November, including their Senate election, which I'm going to touch on first. Incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock is facing off against football legend Herschel Walker. Things initially looked good for Herschel Walker, but over the summer, polling started looking a lot better for Warnock. However, polling conducted since Labor Day is actually showing Walker in the lead. In fact, the only recent poll that has Warnock leading now is Fox News, which is usually off in either direction pretty substantially. If you look at the average share of the vote each candidate's getting, both are around 45%, and under Georgia's runoff system, since neither of them get a majority, this seat would go to a runoff after the midterms are already over. I think they'd be pretty evenly matched in a runoff too, but it would depend on which party took the Senate in November. Real Clear Politics has Walker narrowly leading in their polling, and their projection is that the seat is going to be a flip for Republicans, while 538 has Warnock with a narrow polling lead and has the odds at 50-50 currently. Warnock was actually hovering around a 52% chance of victory during the summer, but in the last few days, Walker has caught up and is now in a dead heat. This race hasn't really been talked about that much in the last few months. Everybody knows it's going to be competitive, but things didn't really change that much in the race over the summer. Like I said, Warnock was hovering around a 40 or 52% chance of victory on 538. However, the recent polling shift has given this race more attention. In my prediction video last week, I had Warnock narrowly winning the seat, but I'm starting to think Walker is probably going to get it. Or at least I think he's going to get the most votes in the first round. The odds are that this seat is going to go to a runoff, which could really shake things up. It's possible that we see this map on election night. Republicans flip Nevada, Democrats flip Pennsylvania, and Georgia goes to a runoff, leaving the Senate at 50 Republicans and 49 Democrats. Like in 2020, this would mean that the Senate balance would remain uncertain for weeks or even months after the election, which could lead to this race once again being super publicized. It's hard to say who would win a runoff like this since Warnock won narrowly against Kelly Loeffler in 2021. Walker is a much better candidate for Georgia than Loeffler was, but Warnock does have the incumbency advantage this time. Hopefully one candidate or the other wins on election night to avoid another messy runoff, but it's totally possible and I'd say even probable that this happens. A big factor that might result in a Walker win in the Senate is one that people are not really talking about, and that is Brian Kemp. Kemp is the incumbent governor of Georgia who's running for re-election this year. He's facing Stacey Abrams in a rematch of their 2018 match, which Kemp won by less than 2 points. He's favored to win this time by a wider margin. If you look at the 538 forecast, they give Kemp an 85% chance of victory compared to Walker's 50% chance that I mentioned earlier. Real Clear Politics also has Kemp leading in the polls by a little more than 5, and so it seems like Kemp is the clear favorite here, and this might actually help Walker because Kemp's lead being so wide for a swing state means that he might be able to carry Walker over the finish line. Kemp's not at 50 in the polling, but if the undecideds break for him, he will reach 50, and if he reaches 50, that means he could drag Walker across that line with him. And if Walker gets 50, then there's no runoff. He just wins straight up. I'm not sure how likely it is that this happens, but I do think it's worth taking into consideration. Kemp is favored in this race for a handful of reasons. First, Abrams isn't really that good of a candidate statewide for Georgia. She came close in 2018, but since then she kind of fell off with independent voters. What I will say is she's probably part of the reason that Joe Biden won the state in 2020 because she did a lot of stops to register voters throughout the state, but as a candidate, she's just not that good of a fit. Another reason is that Kemp has distanced himself from Donald Trump. In a state like Wisconsin, being more Trump-like is probably better, but Georgia clearly favors someone more moderate like Kemp. Kemp even publicly feuded with Trump after the 2020 election, so a lot of Georgia moderates probably take that into account. He's probably going to do a lot better in the suburbs than Trump did in 2020, which is what caused him to lose the state. He'll probably regress in the rural areas a bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough for him to lose. Biden's unpopularity is also obviously a major factor. Midterms always favor the opposite party of the president at least a little bit, and this year's not going to be an exception. Republicans might do worse than they usually would in the midterm, but they're still going to get the House and possibly a few Senate seats and governorships. So it's no surprise that an incumbent Republican governor like Kemp is favored. If you look at the Real Clear Politics average, Biden's still underwater by 12, and that's not the worst his approval rating has been, but it's still really bad going into the midterms. I'm pretty sure Trump's average was actually better than this going into 2018, and Republicans did horrible that year. So it's pretty clear that Republicans are at least going to take the House back this November. That's all I really have to say about Georgia for now. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe and comment telling me what you think. Thank you for watching and have a great day.